On Dave Ramsey's website, he has an article entitled "The Truth About Index Universal Life Insurance," where he lays out 5 reasons why you should avoid index universal life insurance like the plague. In today's video, I'll debunk each of those claims one by one. Claim number 1, the investments in an IUL never perform like they should because the cash portion of the premium gets eaten up with fees the insurance company takes for managing the investment. This is a claim that Dave makes about all forms of cash value life insurance, but which is easily debunked, especially when it comes to the IUL. We know that the fees within Index Universal Life are structured at precisely the inverse of how the fees in a 401k are structured. And the 401k fees are relatively low as a dollar amount at the beginning of the plan and grow larger over time. Here's an example. We know the average fees in a medium-sized 401k are about 1% per year. So if you contribute $10,000 your first year, you pay $100 in fees. But as that balance grows and compounds over time, those fees go up commensurately. By the time your account reaches $1 million, your annual fees are now $10,000. The bigger your balance, the more you pay. It works exactly in reverse when it comes to the fees in an IUL. Your fees are higher in the early years when measured as a percentage of the account balance, but that percentage drops dramatically the longer you keep the policy. When you average those fees out over the life of the program, they'll cost you about 1% of your balance per year. If that's the case, then how could Dave Ramsey assert that IULs have high fees? He does this by fixating on the fees in the first few years of the program when they tend to be the highest. Well, as I point out over and over again in my best-selling book, Look Before You LERP, this is a flawed way of evaluating the IUL's fees. Here, Dave Ramsey is succumbing to what I call the illusion of linearity. Since fees within the program are high in those first few years, they will continue to be high throughout the life of the program, or so the thinking goes. This is actually the opposite of how it plays out in real life. Once you get past those early years, the IUL's fees as a percentage of the overall cash value begin to drop precipitously. So much so that by the time you get to the 25th year and beyond, the average annual internal expenses are equal to or less than what you might find in a typical medium-sized 401k. By the way, it only makes sense to start an IUL if you're planning on keeping it your entire life, because the tax savings are only preserved if the policy is in force when you die. And that's why I compare an IUL contract to getting married. These arrangements only really work if you keep them until death do you part. So if IULs only really work if you keep them your entire life, then we should be assessing their average annual expenses over the entire life of the contract. And when you do that, a totally different picture emerges, one that is entirely at odds with what Dave Ramsey claims. By the way, if your average expenses are 1% or less over the life of the program, then your net return over time, by definition, will be dramatically higher than what Dave Ramsey asserts, since high fees are what's purportedly offsetting the IUL's returns. More on the IUL's rates of returns in claim number 4. Claim number 2, those aren't the only fees you'll face with an IUL. Commissions for the sale, administrative expenses, premium expense charges, and the surrender charge. Yeah, there's a charge for ending the policy. These fees are common with most kinds of universal life coverage. Here, Dave is simply repeating the same criticism in claim number 1, only in slightly different terms. Commissions for the sale, admin fees, and premium expense charges are exactly the fees he's referring to in his first claim. It's kind of like he's saying, I object to this meal because it contains meat. But not only do I object to the meat, I object to the beef, the chicken, and the fish. These first 2 claims are beginning to smell a little bit, well, fishy. The truth is that the 1% average expenses per year over the life of the program I mentioned in claim number 1 include the cost of commissions, admin expenses, and premium expenses. That's your all-in cost of owning an IUL. As for the surrender charges, most of these policies do have surrender charges that reduce over the first 10 to 15 years, but since it only really makes sense to start an IUL, if you're planning on keeping it until death do you part, that's 30 to 50 years for most people, then this issue really shouldn't come into play. By the way, if you don't like surrender charges in the first 10 to 15 years of your IUL contract, you really aren't going to like the taxes and penalties you'll pay in your 401k or IRA if you decide to take distributions prior to 59 and a half. The truth is, most investments earmarked for retirement have some sort of built-in incubation period, so this shouldn't be seen as one of the IUL's shortcomings. By the way, Dave Ramsey issues a blanket recommendation on his website encouraging anyone with a cash value life insurance policy to cash it in immediately, no questions asked. Take a listen. Question: I have a cash value plan. What should I do? Answer: let's start by saying we never recommend keeping a cash value policy. This includes whole life, universal life, and variable life insurance. The only time when we would tell you to keep one of those policies is if you don't qualify for a term life plan. However, those cases are few and far between. So, if you do have a plan, what should be your first step? Don't stress. Dave Ramsey says we all get talked into things we might later regret. Just reach out to your provider and cancel your policy with them. Okay, let's take a second to analyze this pearl of a recommendation. Ramsey warns that a cash value life insurance policy, including IULs, should be unequivocally abandoned regardless of where you are in the surrender period. But even if doing so costs you a significant portion of your cash value, you shouldn't stress, because losing huge amounts of money can be done so in an anxiety-free way, or so Dave Ramsey claims. Once again, Dave Ramsey is caught red-handed making sweeping one-size-fits-all recommendations to a huge swath of unsuspecting listeners that could have catastrophic implications for their financial well-being. And he does so with a bit of circular reasoning. IULs are bad because of their surrender charges, but if you find yourself in the middle of your IUL surrender period, I'd encourage you to abandon the policy so that you can experience the full brunt of those surrender charges. Not exactly ironclad logic. What you see here is sadly emblematic of all of Dave Ramsey's claims about cash value life insurance. He makes an assertion in which he nestles a kernel of truth in a shroud of falsehood, and as a result, his fawning acolytes lose thousands of dollars along the way. And why does Dave Ramsey do this? I think that will be abundantly clear by the end of this video. Claim number 3. When you cancel an IUL policy, you give up not only your death benefit, but most or all of the cash value you've managed to build. It can make you wonder what exactly you were getting from all those high premiums. Okay, this is the most bald-faced of all the Dave Ramsey misrepresentations we'll discuss in this video. In order to understand why this is so blatantly false, we have to understand the relationship between cash value and the death benefit. This means going back to a little life insurance 101. Let me explain with a formula. With death benefit option A or 1, your death benefit equals the total of your cash value plus the amount of life insurance you're paying for in a given year. That can be expressed with the following formula. Cash value plus life insurance equals your total death benefit. For example, if your cash value is $100,000 and your death benefit is $500,000, then you're actually only paying for $400,000 of life insurance. Now, let's say that cash value goes up to $400,000. According to this formula, you're now only paying for $100,000 of life insurance. So when you die in this scenario, your heirs do get $500,000, but that's the total of your $400,000 of cash value plus $100,000 of life insurance. It's not like you're paying for $500,000 of life insurance the entire time, and then you lose the cash value upon death. But that's the claim that Dave Ramsey seems to be making. Not only is this disingenuous, but it betrays a basic misunderstanding of how cash value life insurance works. And if he doesn't understand this basic facet of life insurance, it makes you wonder, what else is he getting wrong? Claim number 4. Because excessive fees keep returns relatively low, your IUL investment will never beat inflation, one of the main goals of investing. You're far more likely to stay ahead of inflation by investing in a mutual fund through a Roth IRA or 401k while enjoying a 10 to 12% average return. Investing in anything that can't keep up with inflation is a waste of your money. Okay, let's begin with Dave Ramsey's exorbitant claim of 10 to 12% average returns over time. When you consider that Dave Ramsey's financial advisor referral program directs you to financial advisors who charge you, on average, 1.5% of your average annual balances per year, what he's really saying is that he believes the stock market can get you 11.5 to 13.5% gross average returns over time. Take a look at what Investopedia says about average rates of returns in 401ks. Although each 401k plan is different, contributions accumulated within your plan, which are diversified among stock, bond, and cash investments, can provide an average annual return ranging from 3 to 8%, depending how you allocate your funds to each of those investment options. Now, we could quibble over whether that number could be slightly higher based on your stock allocation, but here's the point. Dave Ramsey is promising exorbitant returns in your traditional investments to make IUL returns seem anemic by comparison. But an even more important point gets lost in all of this rhetorical sleight of hand. IULs were never designed to be a substitute for a stock market portfolio. It's like Dave saying, don't ever buy a Ford because it will never go as fast as a Ferrari. The truth is, IULs are not designed to achieve stock market-like returns, and no one in the financial services industry with whom I associate claims as much. IULs are designed to produce bond-like rates of return. We're talking 5 to 7% net of fees over time. These returns are not blind assertions or pipe dreams. They're verified rates of returns in real IULs over long periods of time. If you can get 5 to 7% growth without taking any more risk than what you're accustomed to taking in your savings account, then that's a pretty safe and productive way to grow at least a portion of your portfolio. As Tom Hegna famously said, I can give one recommendation that anyone can implement to immediately improve the performance of their retirement portfolio. Reach into your portfolio, remove the bonds, and replace it with cash value life insurance, and you'll increase the rate of return, lower the risk, lower the standard deviation of the entire portfolio, and experience a better outcome over time. So, by comparing a lowball rate of return on an IUL against an overinflated return in a hypothetical investment portfolio, he creates this odd, misguided apples to oranges comparison that ultimately falls flat. Claim number 5. Market performance will affect your premiums, which might rise or fall depending on how well the index fund underlying your account does. But premiums can definitely rise in a down period, and if they become unaffordable, you'll risk losing the life insurance coverage that was supposed to be the whole point of buying the policy. Here, Dave Ramsey imputes the Achilles heel of variable universal life, VUL, to index universal life. In VULs, when the cash value goes down, the amount of life insurance you're paying for goes up. I pointed this out in multiple videos, but this is precisely the reason why you would choose an IUL over a VUL. Because your cash value can never get credited less than zero, you don't expose yourself to the risk of a dramatic drop in your cash value and a resultant increase in insurance expenses. You might experience a slight drop in your cash value due to the fees you'd continue to pay in a flat year, but at the end of the day, Dave Ramsey is unwittingly calling attention to one of the IUL's strengths, not one of its weaknesses. This claim seems more like a copy and paste error from the anti-VUL portion of his website. Again, if Dave Ramsey can play fast and loose with the facts and/or make careless, poorly researched claims about IUL, where else is he fudging the facts? So it's clear that Dave Ramsey has it out for cash value life insurance policies like IULs, but are there any deeper, more nefarious motives at play? Well, sprinkled amidst all of the anti-cash value life insurance language on his website, you'll find strategically positioned links that invite you to compare term life insurance quotes. And when you click on this link, you're taken to a page on Dave Ramsey's website where he then tries to sell you a term life insurance policy. So, At the end of the day, Dave Ramsey's real goal is to get you to apply the surrender value of your IUL towards a term life insurance premium from which he ultimately benefits. This is precisely the opposite approach taken by industry expert Ed Slott. See if you can tease out the difference in their approaches. In his many PBS specials, he'll often say, "I'm not licensed to sell life insurance. I have no financial motivation for you to buy it, but I'm here to tell you that cash value life insurance is the single greatest benefit in the U.S. tax code." Wait, what? Ed Slott doesn't make a living selling cash value life insurance, yet he still recommends it? Now there's a breath of fresh air. Maybe we would all take Dave Ramsey a bit more seriously if he weren't actually persuading a broad swath of America to incur thousands of dollars in surrender penalties. Also, he can make massive profits selling you a term life insurance policy. If you need any help understanding how IUL fits into a balanced, comprehensive approach to tax-free retirement planning, head on over to DaveMcknight.com and click on the Work with David button. I'm happy to lend a hand. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to drop them into the comment section below. I'll respond to every single one of them personally. And don't forget to click like, subscribe, and the bell so you never miss a video. This is David McKnight. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.